All right, well, let me get the Danville Dash Town Hall started. Good evening, everyone. Brian Russell, the league director. Welcome to our town hall for our third event of the season, the Danville Dash. We do a town hall for each of our events just to give everyone a sense of what's coming up for the weekend, get all the questions answered. And all of our town halls, I think, are important to get that information out to folks. But this one might be just a little more important. We're headed to Danville for the first time as a league. And I wanted to start by thanking the town of Danville for really accommodating our needs. We have some unique requirements as an organization, and the Parks and Recs Department and Anglers Ridge Trail Association has just been welcoming us with open arms. So it's looking to be a great event up there, and thank you for that local community for bringing us in. The format for tonight, just like all the other town halls, we'll spend probably about 40 minutes walking through the schedule for the weekend. Three main parts. We'll talk arrival, what to expect when you get to Danville and get to the venue itself. Then the second part, we'll cover Saturday. We'll walk through the schedule. And then Sunday, same thing. We'll walk through the schedule, what that looks like. And all along the way, we'll have several members of the league staff talk to you about their particular pieces of the weekend. And thank you to the league staff as well for putting together a fantastic event at a brand new venue. We've been up there, I think, three times now to get our eyes on and build out the plan for the weekend. But this might be one of the first town halls where one of you has a question, and we might say, "That's a great question. We didn't think of that." We'll have to get back to you with that answer. But speaking of questions, as is tradition here, we are here to support the 462 student athletes signed up for the Danville Dash. So at this point, the first student athlete to ask a question will get a prize from one of our league sponsors. And look at that, like the hand goes up like right away. Like that young man was ready with the question, but we'll take your question here in a minute. But league sponsor Fidlock gives a gift card essentially to their website for the question that's going to be asked. So why don't we just go like right away? Like you put your hand up that just tell us who you are, what team you're with, and what question you got, man.
I'm Kieran. I'm Kieran Burton. I'm with Holy Trinity, and I was wondering
Okay.
how long each loop was, each loop of the track was.
Okay. Great question. Is it Kieran? Did I get
Yes.
that? Okay, Kieran, thank you for the question. And if you can put in the chat window your email address so I can follow up with that gift card to you when we're done here. We will talk more about the race course itself later in the presentation, as well as the adventure course, and give you the mileage to each of those. But the
Oh,
race course is just over 3 miles. And if you go to the website while we're talking here, man, click on the race course description. The ride with GPS file will come up. It will give you the elevation profile, the distance. You can even watch a video. A guy that looks a little bit like me recorded that video. Takes you along the entire course, man. So great question. We'll cover both race course, adventure course, and tell you a little bit about it during the call here. So
thank
thanks
you.
for the question, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right, fantastic. So like I normally do before we go down the agenda, let me share my screen. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to our website. Here's where to find the information you're looking for the Danville Dash. Go to our website, click on event schedule under what's happening. And I think most people are familiar with this at this point, and scroll on down to event number 3. I think most of the information you need for the weekend is right on the website here, and we will come back to this a couple times throughout the call to show you how to access that information. But just like Kieran asked, if you click on that race course button there, the ride with GPS file for the race course will come up. Race course video, take you to our YouTube channel. You can watch the ride across the race course. We'll have our volunteer rep and camping rep talk. Race results, like we've done all season, race results will be streamed live on Sunday while we're conducting the race. So you can click on that button right there, pull up the results page as the racers are doing their race. And then call up lists were published as of this morning. So you can see where you are in the call up order and the like. Let me click on probably the key document, the event flyer, and we'll come back to this a couple times throughout the call as well. This is the schedule for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. It's got links in there to other information, venue guidance. If you're looking for the pit zone map, it's in there. The emergency action plan coaches who are on the line for your Saturday rides, please have a copy of that emergency action plan. New for this season, waste reduction tips. Danville's been kind enough to actually provide a recycling bin in addition to a trash bin out there. So think about packing light and packing out all your trash, but have a recycling mind, reduce a little bit of waste, all good stuff. And again, we'll click on some of these links as we go through the presentation tonight. I'll get ahead of Diane a little bit in talking about volunteers. We were earlier today about 65 some percent volunteers, so we still need some help. If you're coming to Danville this weekend, please consider signing up for one of our volunteer slots. And you can do here right on that link on the page. And then we'll spend a little bit of time on the Sunday schedule when we get to that day. Let me go back and I'll start the meeting giving everyone a bit of an orientation to Danville itself. If I had to guess, since we're coming up from the south into Virginia, most everyone's going to come up Route 86 or 58 coming into Danville. And you can take pretty much the exit right here and very well marked. You're looking for Anglers Park as you come off the highway here, coming down, take a right on Stinson Drive. Come down Stinson, down to Northside Drive, and as you come in down the hill, that's a pretty large hill, you're going to hang a left here. We'll have the league flag out and come down Northside Drive into the venue. Michael Lashley will talk about camping here in a little bit. If you're in Site 2 and have one of those camper vans, you're just going to pull to the left off the side of the road, camp there. And if you're in Site 1 with a big RV, you're going to pull all the way down into the lot here and park in the main parking lot at Anglers Park. But most of you, as you come in, likely on Saturday morning, are going to come down here. Our parking coordinator, Sam, and his crew is going to be out here guiding you in to the field. This is 10 acres of usually rugby field out here, and you can see where we've designated a good portion of that field for parking. So this is where you're coming in. Sam and the crew will get you in here as quick as we can. This road, I don't know if it'll be too congested or not. We usually do a pretty good job of pulling everyone in. But this is the main parking area for Danville. Caveat, new venue. We've measured capacity the best we can. We're a little bit lighter than we typically are at 460. Just in case we don't fit everyone down here, we do have some overflow lot options available. And here's how that will work. We will run a shuttle both Saturday and Sunday. If we have to send folks to overflow lots, you'll come down to this location here, drop off your stuff, and then drive to one of our overflow lots. And you'd go back outside Northside Drive with the principal overflow lot being the Danville Welcome Center, and there's a shuttle stop. If that gets full, we have several parking options up here at Dan Daniels Park, and with 2 shuttle stops, one at one of our camping sites and one here in the center of all those parking lots. They will pick you up and drive you back to the venue to drop you off, not any of your stuff. Again, drop your stuff off down here. They'll drive you back. And then at the end of the day, shuttle again will run folks back to the overflow parking lots. One of the neat features of Danville is this Greenway Trail right beside the Dan River. And we've got that marked in white. If you're up here camping in sites 3 or 4, or you happen to park up there, you can ride your bike all the way down that Greenway and pretty much come in the backside of our venue here. Pretty nice option. We usually don't get the bike to work, so to speak, at our venues. But that is an option if you want to avoid the parking mess and all that shuttle stuff. Just ride on down the Greenway. So as we go along, any questions you have, please put in the chat window. Shell Frost will help monitor the chat window. We'll take a pause after this first section of the brief to make sure we've got some of those questions answered. But now, since I brought up camping already, Michael Lashley, our camping coordinator, if you're on the line, why don't you walk folks through the camping options and what to expect if you're a camper for the weekend, and I'll keep the map up and go where you need me to go.
Yeah, hey Brian. Hey everyone. Thanks for joining in this evening, and look forward to hopefully seeing a lot of you at the venue. I sent out emails today to all the campers. If you got the email, it should. I'm just highlighting some of the things that I sent out in the email. But if you didn't get the email, then maybe a concern. If you think you're supposed to be camping, you can always reach out at camping to the camping email address and let me know. But In that email, I included a phone number. If you need to reach me on Friday or Saturday, call that number. I won't be checking emails, so do reach out that way if you need immediate assistance. One of the big things for Danville that we didn't have at the last venue is that solo stoves are allowed here. So it's going to get kind of cold on Friday and Saturday night. If you've got a solo stove or something like that, feel free to bring it. Danville has allowed those. They don't want burn barrels, fire rings, anything like that that's burning wood on the ground. But solo stoves or something like solo stoves are perfectly welcome. As far as playing off of what Brian was saying a little bit earlier about space, we've estimated camping as best we can. But I am asking everyone to park pretty tightly together. We want to make sure that we can accommodate everyone who has signed up to camp. And in addition to that, this is going to help us for next year. And the fact that once everyone is set up, I like to do a sort of a inventory of what we have and just evaluate how our numbers are. And if we can fit more next year, we'll do that based off of how we fit this year. So that's another reason to pack in kind of tight. When I say kind of tight, if you got a slide out or something in your RV and you want to get the slide out, that's certainly fine. But we don't need to have double awnings put out to the side. We want them 5, 6, 7 feet apart if we can do that. One of the big things I want to mention about this weekend is if you're in Site 1, the access to that site. There you go. Thanks, Brian. Site 1 is actually inside of the race course. And if you're one of the campers that are there and didn't get my email today, you have limited access to that camping area. The time you cannot get in, you can get in there anytime you want to, except Saturdays between 11:30 and 6 and Sundays between 8 and 4. Saturdays 11, anytime that the course is active is basically when you can't cross that track. So the course is active Saturday 11:30 to 6, and then on Sundays from 8 to 4. If for some reason you arrive after those hours or before those hours, we have arrangements made to park you in one of the satellite lots so that you can still get to the race venue, but you would leave your camper at a different location until we can get you across that track course and get you into Site 1. Again, for Sites 3 and 4, which are up towards the northwest corner, you've got easy access via the Greenway on your bike or a shuttle stop at each of those. And then up there at where Brian's pointing right now, that's Site 3, I think. Again, we've got a shuttle stop right out front. So if you want to catch the shuttle back and forth, it'll be making a circular loop there periodically to pick you up and carry you in. Site 5, which is up by the airport, that's the only site that we don't have a shuttle stop for. But there's actually pretty good trail access from there. So if you chose to ride the trail down, you could get you a little bit of single track in on the way to the venue. If you're in an RV or a travel trailer, Danville was very specific in asking that we just keep the units on the asphalt. When you leave Sunday, as always, if you'll police yourselves and your neighbors, pick up any trash that might be left behind. In the past, we've always gotten really good feedback from these venues and taking good care of their facilities, and that's one of the reasons that we get invited back so much, and they like having us. So do keep that in mind. And then just a couple of miscellaneous items I'd like to throw out there. We opened up some additional camper van space at Mayodan. So if you have a camper van, you haven't got a camping site, and you want to get a site at Mayodan, some has just opened up. So grab one of those. And Brian, I think that's about it.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Michael, and thank you for all your work is setting up a lot of camping here at Danville, because I know some of the lodging challenges we've had this particular weekend. So that is much appreciated. What I'd like to do now is go to Ben Harbor, our operations manager, and Ben is going to walk us through some of the infield layout for this venue. So Ben, if you're ready to take it over, and I will guide the map where you tell me.
Yes. So as you come in to Northside Drive, you'll be greeted by our wonderful parking volunteers that will kind of guide you through. They'll send you down the little winding road of Northside Drive. be respectful of when you're pulling in your camper vans to the left there, that you do not block the road as traffic's coming in and out. That is a 2-lane road, but we still need to watch the edges because there's not a lot of room on the edges to get in and out. As you come down, where Brian spoke to earlier about the shuttle drop off, that's where we're going to turn into the field. So we're going to turn right into the field and drive in here to our parking zone is the first thing you're going to hit. We're a rough estimate close to about 300 vehicles potentially in there. And again, we ask for some grace in our measuring. It may increase, it may decrease depending on how the lay of the land and some of the obstacles are in the field. But you'll park there and then you'll walk your stuff over to pit zone. This venue does not allow us to drive around because of the way we're building the race course. So down at the bottom towards the river, you're going to see a course crossing in the red. That will be one course crossing that we'll have open Saturday. We will also create a temporary one where Brian was waving his hand earlier, right there at the top. That'll be a temporary crossing for Saturday only for you to march your lovely goodies to pit zone in and out. And then it'll be closed on Sunday until the end of the race day is over with. Inside the pit zone, you can see the little orange box, pink if you call it, whatever color you see. That's where our pit zone is going to be. If you go into either TeamSnap or on the web, you can get to that pit zone mapping of all the different rows. There are less student athletes racing this race, so we adjusted some of the rows. I think one team may have moved from one row to another row. So we tried to do our best to keep you all the same, keep you geographically associated to each one of your teams. So we're going to do that. For this race, we do have row number signs. So please reference the pit zone mapping for which row you're on, and then hopefully locate which team you're on very quickly as you get in. As you can see around the outside of the venue, for teams that have trailers, we have a designated parking all the way at the very back of the venue on the outside of the race course. That's where you can park your team trailers. In the grass, please, not on the asphalt. The asphalt's going to be used for emergency access in and out if need be. I hope and pray that we never have to use them, but I have to give that access to them. So team trailers can park up there. As you do see another red X crossing down here, that's to get from pit zone over to emergency services. So if you're a course marshal, roving marshal, you'll go through that little exit right there to get over to that tent. And again, I hope they're bored. I hope you never see Brian Wood other than checking in and out for your shifts and your student athletes are safe. The green blob there is our staging area for Sunday, as your student athletes will be sent off for their races. And then the orange sends them out in the start chute to merge with the race lap. As we go travel down that race lap, you will see a green funnel where his hand is moving. That is an open area for you to walk out of pit zone over into camping area and or over to the adventure program's grit location there by the shelter, and or get to an adventure lap that we'll speak to later. So that is a smooth section through there. It is rather long, and because of the size of stuff that we're putting in here, we will make a weekend decision if that area is a walk your bike or a ride your bike. So please have patience with us as we lay out the course to make sure we have enough spectating room to get in and out of there. I think that covers all the trash receptacles. Because the Park Service is bringing dumpsters and a recycle bin, those will be located right there at the edge of the asphalt. We will not be providing trash receptacles on pit rows. So you'll need to carry your trash to those dumpsters. This venue and a few others the rest of the season are going to be in a similar situation because we cannot get trash vehicles into the soft grass field. So be mindful of what you need. If your team typically relies on the trash receptacles at the end of the row, I highly suggest you grab a couple of 55-gallon trash bags and bring them with you because you'll need to hike in what you bring in, hike it out. I do believe that is all of pit zone. We'll turn it back over to you, Brian.
Ben, thanks for a great overview, and we will pause after our very next section when we talk volunteers. Any questions that remain about the venue layout in the great NICA hierarchy of needs? You typically need parking and you need trails. One of the toughest things is to get from the infield into the trail system, and so this is a pretty unique venue trying to get into this trail system from our infield. And thanks to Ben and the entire crew for coming up with a way to actually make it happen. So thanks for that. So one more part of this section, Diane LeBlanc, if you're on the line tonight, can you give everyone a view of volunteers and some of our current needs for the weekend, please?
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. Hopefully you all are excited about Danville. We absolutely are. Just a personal note, we got to do a lot of riding there for a few years, and it is absolutely phenomenal. You guys are gonna love it. So having said that, we absolutely are in desperate need of volunteers for this race weekend, specifically on Sunday. You have heard us talk about mission critical spots. Those are volunteer positions that need to be filled, or we run the risk of not having the race. The biggest mission critical is always our course marshals. And so we are in need of 9 course marshals, 6 for shift 1, 2 for shift 2, and 1 for shift 3. This is, I need to remind you as well that you have to be a level 1, 2, or 3 coach to fill that volunteer spot. So we absolutely are in need of course marshals for Sunday. And then the other mission critical, because of this particular race venue, are our course crossing guards. Our course crossing guards are going to play a very important part to the race in keeping our student athletes safe, but keeping our spectators safe as well. We are currently in need of, oh my gosh, I got to do this math, 21 course crossing guards. Course crossing guards. So if that's something that you feel like you can do, and anyone can be a crossing guard, please reach out to me. We really count on y'all. We cannot do these races without you. I do want to thank everyone who's already volunteered. A lot of you have volunteered this season so far, so you know the importance of volunteer spots and what we need. Just a reminder that we do feed our volunteers. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at diane@northcarolinamtb.org, and we will be sure to get in touch with you. Hey, Brian, I think that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Diane. And let's pause here. Shell, are there any questions in the chat that need readdressing or we haven't answered so far? Does anyone have any questions about the arrival plan and the setup before we move on to Saturday?
Stone was wondering if you can clarify where the start line is.
I can give a general sense of where the start line is. So the start chute will be here, probably somewhere around here. And that's I call it a game day decision, but when the crew and I are out there on Friday, we will have a better idea of exactly where it is, but it's right around here. And we'll have that marked with the troll heads by the time course inspection starts on Saturday. So thanks for the question. Somewhere around here. Okay, are we good on questions then, Shell?
I think so.
Okay.
Hey, Brian,
fantastic.
real fast, I think. Well, I'll get it at the end. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. And I'm sorry I didn't mention that. We'll spend 40 minutes going through the plan, and then the remainder of our town hall is just open mic night, essentially for questions. So we can catch a lot of things at the end. Okay, so let's go to Saturday. And Shell, happy to give you just an opening comment opportunity, but I'll just remind everyone, just like Ben walked us through, here you are in pit zone. If you're going to programs activities, generally you are going to come down this chute he described across the parking lot and into the programs area, which is it'll be pretty easy to identify with all the tents and the flags, but the big pavilion for the park is down in here. So Shell, any opening comments about programs at large before we turn over to the committee members?
I'll let them tackle it, and if there's anything that stands out to me, I'll chime in.
Okay. Well, let's go to Angie then and describe what GRIT has going on Saturday, and I'll pull up the event flyer and the GRIT program while you're
Yeah,
talking.
that sounds great. Thanks, Brian. Hi, everybody. We are looking forward to another fun Saturday with lots of GRIT activities at the GRIT tent. And as you know, the first thing that happens is the GRIT pre-ride. And that's something that the girls do have to register in pit zone for the pre-ride. It just gives us an idea so we know numbers and how many leads and sweeps we're going to need. So that's from like 11:45 to 1. We've got some GRIT tent activities that happen for most of the day, really starting around 12 and they go until 5. And some of the special things at Danville are the bracelet making activity that's going to happen. The ambassadors will be there. Bring a friend, bring somebody from your team tent that's never come to GRIT. We'd love to see you. We also have our mentor program for the mentors and mentees. And anybody that's part of the mentor program can come out, and there'll be some fun bike games and just activities with your mentor and mentee. And of course, just game hour. It is a carnival event, so we want to make it fun and have some activities at the GRIT tent that are along those lines with the theme. So please join us there. And then finally, what's special about this one is we're going to have a movie night. So there'll be The Greatest Showman, movie night of the carnival, and that's from 7 to 9:15. You do have to register in pit zone. Again, we need the right adult supervision for the number of student athletes we have out there. But grab your teammates and come and see The Greatest Showman with us. That's all I've got, Brian.
Angie, thanks as always. Great overview of all the great stuff lined up for the girls on Saturday. Is shaping up to be a really, really good time. Let's go to adventure next. Bill Berry from our adventure committee, I think, is going to walk us through some of the things to expect for Saturday, and I'll go back to the flyer and pull up the adventure information, Bill, while you're talking.
Yep. Thanks for doing that, Brian. Hopefully everyone can hear me. As Angie was just saying, Saturday we'll also have the adventure area right next to GRIT. It'll open up at noon on Saturday. As a reminder to all our student athletes, be sure to bring your adventure passport with you race weekend. You'll be able to have any activities that you've completed stamped off there. And in addition to that, the passport activity that we're going to support and utilize in the area is going to be focusing on activity number 20, which is to help lead a game with your fellow student athletes. So kind of in the theme of carnival and having fun. So we have our collection of on the bike and off the bike games that you may have seen at previous programs areas. I saw at Salisbury, the bike limbo and bunny hop were very popular, and we'll look for creative and fun ways to do that. In addition to your passport area activity, we do have the skills area set up with the challenges, again, being able to utilize that for games. And anyone who does complete a game or completes an activity stamp on their passport will be entered into our raffle for Fidlock prizes. We'll be raffling those off towards the end of the afternoon. I've seen high interest in some of the water bottle configurations that Fidlock donates. And then just a last reminder to teams and student athletes, we do at the Adventure Tent hand out race plate badges to all our teams. This week has been a huge, with everyone, a shout out to everyone doing the Team Trail Core hours. So be sure to come get your race plate badges that you can celebrate what you've accomplished. The other big thing to announce for Danville is the adventure course that we've opened up. We're excited to offer another adventure course of single track trail riding. It's going to be open as shown here, both Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. And then on Sunday, bright and early at 8 a.m. out until 3 p.m. So this is going to be something that's similar to Browns Creek. This is a coach-led ride. So you need to be mindful that you have the right coaches there, and that you're riding under the NICA ratios. We will set up an entrance. I think we'll pull back to the map here in a little bit. We'll set up the Fidlock banner flag so you know where you can check in as a team of student athletes and coaches. And there'll be a path that runs you out to a dedicated adventure course, single track called Crooked Stick Trail, I believe is its name. That is about a 5-mile loop that runs out adjacent to the race course. So it'll be a separate dedicated course for the adventure course, but you will be crossing the race course to get there. So just to remind all our athletes and coaches, we will have course marshals set up there, but to just be mindful of the course marshals and watch as you get across to that area. And really, I think that's all I had, Brian, all the fun that we're going to look forward to this weekend. So thanks.
Bill, thanks for a great overview, and thanks to you and the committee for setting up a lot of opportunities for our athletes. And I think you did address one of Kieran's questions about the length of our courses, that adventure loop or course about 5-some miles out there on Crooked Stick. So thanks for coming back to that question. And again, if you've got some questions about this, everyone just drop those in the chat, and we'll pause here in a minute to make sure we've got all the Saturday questions covered. Let's go to Teen Trail Corps and Leonard Van Hoos. And let me just give a shout out to so many who are on this call who helped us achieve our goal of 1,000 hours during Trail Week just a week ago. Good job, everyone. We are now over 3,000 hours. We have absolutely crushed our season goal of giving back to trails and local communities. So job well done, everyone. But Leonard, what can folks expect if they come out and check out the Teen Trail Corps tent on Saturday?
We'll be opening like normal from 12 to 5. Everybody that's receiving TTC awards, gloves, and t-shirts should have got an email. Come by the tent and pick up your gloves and t-shirts sometime during that time between 12 and 5. We're going to have a couple activities there, normal volleyball, badminton, and we're going to learn to sharpen tools and maintain our tools we've been using. We kind of put a few miles on them last week. We'll have the crawler as usual and the obstacles. There's even rumor of a Nerf gun shooting gallery, and we're definitely going to have axe throwing. So that's something new. Yeah, just come by and see us. Just come say, hey, we've got some Bigfoot stickers and some tattoos to give away as well. And we will be having a raffle at 4:30 on Saturday for some Fidlock bottles and various prizes.
Give a Teen Trail Corps coordinator a chance, and he will surprise you. Axe throwing, Leonard. Well done, sir. Well done. Yeah.
Isn't that how you do it?
Yep. I feel like I should point out the EAP just one more time to everyone on the list. But that looks pretty tame in terms of an axe, Leonard. But thanks for setting up a ton of fun for everyone. So Saturday, one more section. Again, program stuff starting around noon. Adventure course opening around 1 o'clock. But as normal, about 11:30, if you're a head coach or a ride leader coach, you're going to show up somewhere around the league trailer, listen to Sean Moore, get some information on the course, and then start the course inspection process. So let's go to Sean next and get a description of what's in store for Saturday. So Sean, over to you, please.
Thank you, Ryan. So we will be using our same schedule. So 11:30, we will have our coaches meeting on Saturday. Come prepared to ride from there. So we'll do a brief 10 to 15 minute overview of information that is necessary for the venue specifically and the race in general. And then we will go from there to do our course inspection, dividing into groups. From that point on, once we get done, you'll go back to your teams, and then we will open up for the coach-led student athlete course inspection at 1 o'clock. And from 1 to 2:30 will be that red flag zone, which is for our single lap only student athletes. So going out, coach led student athletes, maintaining our proper ratios. Then from 2:30 to 4, we will have the yellow flag, which will be then switching out no single lap student athletes and just the multi lap student athletes going out in coach led groups. And then at 4 o'clock to 5:15, we'll have the green, which is when student athletes utilizing the buddy system can go out on their own without a coach to preview the course. This is something that it assumes that they've gone out with coaches during either the red or yellow flag. So make sure that you're sending those student athletes that you know are capable of getting around the course with a buddy without an adult supervision. And then at the main caveat with that period is that a student athlete must head out on their final lap prior to 5:15. And then from 5:15 to 5:30, I asked the coaches who are interested in riding a lap of the course meet at the start chute. And at 5:30, we will leave. That's the official course closure time. And then we will sweep the course. And when we come off the course, no one else should be on the course at that point. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that there is a course preview video for this course on our YouTube channel. And that also includes the GPX map link. So you can watch the course, kind of imagine the infield and taped areas which are described, and then get to the course GPX, which shows you not only the course length, which there's been several questions about, but also the course profile, so you can see how much climbing and descending there are per lap.
All right, Sean, great overview, and thanks for covering that course information at the end. Kieran, that was one of your questions. What's the course like? Well, here you go. Watch the video, look at the ride with GPS, and you get a really good sense of what to expect coming up for Saturday. So let's pause there. Shell, do we have any remaining questions on Saturday in the chat window before we move on to Sunday?
I think they have all been responded to now in the chat. But Angie's raising her hand.
So let's go to
Hey,
Angie then. Yeah.
Brian, for the course, I watched the course preview, and on the course preview, you said around 4.5 miles, but then I thought I heard somebody say it was like 3.8 miles. Am I hearing that correctly? Like, which is it for the course, or will we not really know until we get out there and do it on Friday?
The ride with GPS is pretty accurate. And what I think the disparity is, Angie, between when we were out there doing some of the survey, we decided, since we have all of this field to go through, and we just don't have any uphill start or finish like NICA guidance, so we're just going to use a lot of field and spread the kids out. We cut out this little Pisgah finger right here, which reduced our length a little bit overall. And I think that's probably the major discrepancy. And then I'll just add in, when the course setting team goes out on Friday, we might make decisions to route somewhere else just based on what we see on the trail conditions. And so sometimes what you see on the video, what you see on the ride with GPS isn't exactly the same, because we have to make an on Friday or Saturday morning decision to change the course for, reasons, so to speak. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, I think this is as close as we can get right now until we get on the ground on Friday. But thank you for the question. That's great. Shellen, any others? And that is a good way of leading into the Sunday, so to speak, talking about race course.
Yeah, Jim Otto wondered if you could highlight on the map where course crossings are from the Riverwalk Trail to the pit zone.
So I'd like to speak to that a little bit. There's two different trail systems up there, two different trail names. There's a River Walk Trail, which is the greenway that we'll be crossing as we come across Little Pisgah and cross over to Camelback. And then there's another side, a trail called Riverside Drive Trail. It's up at the same section where Brian was at. So that's the first section where you see the red gates right above his hand is where we're going to cross the Greenway asphalt path river walk trail. I did see Jim made a comment about using river walk for warm-ups. The committee and the groups of us have looked at trying to use the adventure course with your course crossing to get over to do warm-ups if necessary. The river walk greenway path is also going to be your spectating path to get up and to watch different side spots of the trail. So we're trying to prevent people warming up with a little bit of speed, running over spectators or running over dog leashes or any of that kind of stuff. So please be mindful of where we ask you to go ride for warm-ups versus where we ask you to spectate.
It's a great segue into Sunday because I was going to lead off with what I'm calling warm-up options, and Ben was exactly right. And if we don't get to your specific course crossing questions, let us know. But if you're there on Sunday and you want to get a warm-up ride in, you have two options. You can, with a coach led, you can come back out to the adventure course because that opens at 8 o'clock, and you can do some riding out on Crooked Stick. That is one warm-up option for you. The second option is to come out to the Riverwalk Trail that Ben mentioned, this pavement here, and do some out and back on this paved section of trail out here to spin the legs and get warmed up. What we don't want to do is point folks down this paved path that Ben mentioned because this is the primary spectator route. We anticipate having a lot of walkers and you can ride your bike up there, but this area in white right here, this is probably the best place to get near the course and watch your student athlete as they're coming through the trail. And so we don't want a lot of riders on this section of that paved path to get to. In terms of course crossings, to get out to the adventure course or up the spectator route, you have to come from pit zone down this path Ben described, cross the parking lot and out to the trail. And there's really you're not crossing the race course to get out to those two sections. Ben already mentioned the course crossing up to the north to get from Little Pisgah up to Camelback, and we'll have some people there managing that. And then the other significant one, and this I saw a lot of questions about, if I'm on site one and I'm in an RV, well, yeah, Saturday and Sunday while the course is active, as you come down Anglers Ridge, riders come across to get back into the field right here. And we will have this shut down while this course is active. And so those are probably the two most significant crossing points that are on the course that we'll have to manage carefully for this trail system. So I'll pause there just if I sufficiently covered warm up and or crossing points before we go through the rest of Sunday.
Jim, I see your comment referring to clarification, so thank you. Hope we answered it.
Okay. Yep. And like I said, we're about done here. Just a few more items on Sunday to cover. What you're looking at the flyer, I posted this, I think yesterday, but looked at it this morning, and this is about as accurate as we think it's going to be at this point for Sunday. You will notice we have fewer numbers. A lot of our larger boy categories are a single field. So particularly middle school boys just running one field. And that's condensed our day a little bit. So looking at wrapping up racing probably somewhere around 4 o'clock or so in the afternoon is our anticipation right now. Since I already covered spectator routes and warm-up loops, that's pretty much Sunday in a nutshell. Let me close like I normally do with just weather. Right now, the trail will not be our consideration. There was some rain today up there. It's a couple days of drying. Anglers Ridge Trail Association has given us indication since we started talking about this as a venue, the trails dry out pretty well. So I think trails are going to be in great shape. Our secondary concern is the field with all of those cars parking on a grass field. That is sometimes the next concern, but even Parks and Recs yesterday said probably won't be a concern for us come this weekend with a couple days of drying. But we will conduct our weather call tomorrow at 11:15 with league staff, Parks and Recs, the Trail Association, to take a look at what the weather is looking like. The one thing we do know, it is going to be cold. Saturday morning, less of a concern because we typically start our stuff later in the morning. But Sunday morning, about 9 o'clock, right now, the forecast has it about 40 degrees, which is usually our threshold for do we do something or not. So I'll give it another, 12 hours or so, see what the forecast says. The message tonight is dress warm. We will think through what we can allow riders to do as they come into the staging area, maybe wear jackets, hand them off right before the start, things like that to help out, or perhaps a delay to the day on Sunday just to let it warm up a little bit before we put those middle school riders into the start chute. So it looks like a go for the weekend with potentially a modification of some form on Sunday to account for those colder temperatures. So with that, I think, we're at the 50-minute mark. Let's pause and leave the last 10 minutes for questions. Shell, if you can help us moderate chat, and we'll just look for the electronic hands to go up and make sure we've got everything covered for the weekend.
I think we've covered most of the questions in the chat. So if anybody's got any remaining ones or any we missed, you can, got a hand.
Looks like we have a hand from Matt Shoemaker. Matt.
Yeah, I was just wondering, just to clarify, you guys mentioned using the adventure trail for warm-ups, but the adventure trail you guys also mentioned is 5 miles long. Is the expectation that it's a 5-mile warm-up, or will it be a shorter section of the adventure trail for warm-ups?
Matt, that's a great question. We'll have the adventure crew, as they market on Friday, look for those kind of bailout options. If you remember Browns Creek, we set up just a portion of that adventure course, which was pretty short, so that you can get out and maybe come back without doing that entire 5-mile loop. If you can look at this trail system out here, there are some options out there to do that.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yep, quite welcome. And Michael Lashley either has a question or perhaps some clarification about camping you'd like to share.
Yeah, clarification. Thanks, Brian. I've seen a couple of notes popping up about access to Site 1. Yes, if you're in Site 1 after 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, you can't leave till 4 p.m. or thereabout until the last rider's off the course. One way to get around that is, if you're camping in Site 1, to leave before 8 a.m. and move your camping unit to one of the satellite lots. No camping in the satellite lots, but you can park your RV travel trailer there so that you can leave before the 4 p.m. if you want to do that. I would suggest you choose a lot further away that's not going to get packed in with cars around you. There's nothing harder than pulling an RV or a travel trailer out of a lot that's got dominoes parked on both sides of it. It can get really tight, if not impossible. So you wouldn't really achieve anything. But yeah, again, we ask that you camp in the lot you have your reservation for. If you can't do that, shoot me an email, and yes, no camping in the satellite lots, but you can park your RV there during the when the race is going on, so that you can leave later. But yeah, if you need something additional, reach out to me. I might have an option for you. That's all I got, Brian. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Any more questions from the audience? Particularly student athletes might still be on the line, want to know something about the weekend. And Sean Moore with either a question or a point of clarification. Sean.
One thing I wanted to mention is that we are forecasted to have some lower temperatures. And so just as a rule, with cold temperature protocols in the start chute, student athletes can be wearing warmer jackets, things like that, and then they can hand those out of the start chute to a coach whenever it comes close time to their start, so that they can stay warm and then have that off of them whenever it's ready for them to race. So handing things out is fine. That's not going to be a penalty for that.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, it's a good coach meeting reminder, Sunday morning and the like, and start line crew will help manage that. Speaking of start line crew, Ben Harbor has his electronic hand up.
Yes. So there's a couple of questions in the chat about water sources in the infield. One individual, and I've lost it in the chat now, but said that they were up there this past weekend. There is a water hydrant there near the bathhouse. There's a bathroom there, no shower, just a bathroom. But it has been turned off for the winter. I'm not sure if we will have the ability to get it turned on before the weekend. So I would plan that you would not have access, and if it's there, we call that a benefit.
Brian, I have a question. This is Abby.
It's Abby Walker. What's going on, Abby?
Hi. I
Hello.
have a question about the feed zone. I looked in the handbook and it said parents, coaches, or volunteers. And I wondered if there is an age limit to volunteers. I've had some student athletes that are choosing to not race this year, but are wanting to come and support, and they're interested in having a job. And I was just looking for clarification if student athletes are allowed to work in the feed zone.
Sounds like a great question for our chief official, Sean Moore.
Apologies, I was answering a question in chat. Can you repeat your question, please?
When I looked in the handbook, I couldn't see in the feed zone. It just says volunteers, parents, or coaches, but it doesn't give an age for volunteers. I'm wondering if student athletes are allowed to work in the feed zone.
No, it should be an adult.
Okay.
And just make sure that they have something designating them as to what team they're there to feed.
Yeah.
And that can be something as simple as a piece of tape with the name of the team on their shirt.
Okay. So if I had an 18-year-old student, could they do it?
Are they 18-year-old student athlete?
Yeah. Or is it an adult or is it a student athlete?
They can't be a student athlete.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I saw a few more questions in the chat, but I think they're getting answered. We'll leave the line open for just a couple more minutes. Make sure we have everything addressed. And for coaches and others, as always, Sean will get this uploaded to our YouTube channel. You can push this out to your other parents and the like tomorrow to make sure they have a chance to catch it before the weekend.
Corey Bates asked if there will be 1 or 2 fields of middle school 6th grade boys.
Right now, there is just one field of middle school boys, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. All the middle school boys categories are just one field. The only exception there is middle school A for boys will run 2 fields for this race. And just as a point, we look typically if that category is over 50 student athletes, we will split it in 2. For this race, we had less than 50 in each of those categories, so we kept it one field for the start. Thank you for the question.
We want to put a plug in for asking student athletes to lead our national anthem.
Oh, Ben Harbor, shame on me. Yes, please put the call out. I think it's great. We've had 2 student athletes just knock it out of the park. Actually 3, because it was a duo at Browns Creek singing our national anthem. We don't have a student athlete volunteer for that quite yet. Coaches, parents, if you got someone that's interested, let us know. Email me, Ben Harbor. Would love to call them up about 8:40 Sunday morning to lead us in the national anthem.
One other question now regarding the cold weather. If it does come in, and should we expect a race of delay? And if there is, how long would that delay be?
Let me talk about when decisions like that can be made. The first opportunity will be tomorrow, no later than noon, after I conduct my weather call. And I will publish like I normally do, hey, we're a go, no change of the schedule, or we're a go and there's a change of the schedule. So by noon tomorrow, you'll have an expectation of what the weekend holds. If I decide to delay, based on the forecast I see right now, an hour might get us a little bit of warmth up to about 45 degrees, closer to 50, a little more comfortable. I don't know if that's worth shifting just an hour, simply because not only do I have to change the race schedule, but all the volunteers we just talked about, of which we still need a good number of volunteers, need to shift those entire schedules too. And so sometimes just keeping everyone on track is actually the better decision. And then we can change the schedule come Saturday. If something changes in the forecast, that is always an option just based on what we see in current conditions. And again, we will publish that through Team Snap emails, the head coaches meetings and the likes. So to answer the first question, by noon tomorrow will be the first indication whether we're changing anything or not for the weekend.
Ben Harbor, you have a potential national anthem volunteer in the chat.
Jackson, is that a sister or student athlete?
That looks like it was Lena who knocked it out of the park last time at Salisbury Scramble. It's all right. You're on the draft list, Lena. I appreciate you putting your
This
hand in.
comes from Jackson, which I think is up on the Asheville teams. Or we'll have a Danica Wiley would do it. Let's see another chat coming in.
I'd say this is probably, Ben, you just need to have people email you.
Yes. Yeah, we've
This is
certainly
getting
seen.
lost in the chat for sure. So
Yes.
Ben at northcarolinamtb.org. And
There
that's
you go.
Ben spelled B as in Ben, E as in N.
Yes.
And now that we have so many putting their hands in the air, and thank you very much for doing that, we might have to have our own version of Extreme Rock, Paper, Scissors just to select a winner to sing the national anthem. So I forgot to mention, Shell, I think 4:30 Saturday afternoon, Extreme Rock, Paper, Scissors for those student athletes earning the most in our spring fundraising campaign.
Yes, so 4:30 we'll do that near the announcing booth. And we'll also do the Fidlock raffle there as well at the same time.
Sweet. Awesome. So yeah, 4:30 near the announcing booth Saturday afternoon. That'll be a ton of fun. So hey, we're at 9 o'clock. We're at the hour. So let's close it there. Thanks everyone for dialing in. Thank you for all the questions. Looking forward to seeing everyone this weekend. Everyone drive safe and we'll see you at the Danville Dash.